I'm Brickroad, and you're watching me play Super Castlevania IV for the SNES. As is my wont, I'm going to play it at super speed, and super speed I typically define as 150% faster than regular speed. This is actually only about 143% faster, but you know what, that's fine, that's super enough for my tastes. I'm loading up a state here, because what happened is I did a test run of the game, just to make sure that I could get through it at the new speed, and I got through the whole game in one life. And one life in Castlevania IV for me is not that big of an accomplishment. It happens from time to time. I know the game really well. But I was surprised that I managed to actually do it on my very first playthrough at a faster speed. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do a let's play of the second quest of the game. Enemies take more hits, they do more damage to you, there's a lot more of them. Enemy placement in a lot of areas is a lot more devious. So even if you've played the game a few times, even if you're a little familiar with Castlevania IV, if you never sat down to play it twice in one sitting, maybe you'll see something new as I go through the second quest of the game. Anyway, that's why I've already got a score of 169,000 and why I've got 8 free guys in reserve. So Castlevania IV, the story of this game is... I'm not exactly sure what it is. I know Simon Belmont is going after Dracula, but I don't think it fits very well into the Castlevania timeline, which is strange because Castlevania typically has a pretty well established timeline. The basic story being every 100 years Dracula wakes up and whatever Belmont happens to be alive at the time has to take him out. Whereas Castlevania IV doesn't really have a place in that timeline. It's more like a remake or a reimagining maybe of the original game. And as I understand, there are a couple of Castlevania games in the series like that. I guess Konami once in a while says, screw it, we're not going to write a story for this, and we'll just send Simon out against Dracula again. And you know what, I'm not playing the game for the story anyway. I'm playing it because it's got great gameplay. The graphics and sound are both phenomenal, especially for as early a Super Nintendo game as this is. Back in the day, before I had my own Super Nintendo, I played over at a friend's house, and the 3 games he had was Mario World and Castlevania and Lemmings. So those 3 games got a lot of play back when I was a kid. So we're in a village outside of Castlevania here. Is the first stage of the game with these nightmarish horse heads and little bone ghost ahead of me here. And one of the things that sets this game apart from the previous 3 games is in the first 3 games, Simon, or whoever was the player character in part 3, his controls, his attacking and jumping were very, very stiff and difficult to take care of. You could not change your direction in midair, you could only attack straight forward and from a very specific distance. So Castlevania IV improves that a lot in both regards. You have a little more control in midair, so you don't jump to your death or get knocked to your death quite as often. You can whip in any direction you want, my personal favorite being diagonally up ahead of me, as you'll see as I go through the videos. By the way, these little goblin guys in the windows, they're not there in the first quest. That's a nasty surprise that's waiting for you on your second pass through the game. But anyway, yeah, Simon is a lot more user-friendly and more amiable character, easier to get used to, a lot better to... He takes instructions from the controller better than he used to back in the first couple entries of the series. So this is the first Castlevania game that I really, really enjoyed, and that's one of the big reasons. I'm using the boomerang weapon, and yes, I know it's a cross, but I'm a Nintendo kid from the 1980s, so it's always going to be a boomerang to me. The boomerang is my favorite weapon in the game. It's absolutely overpowered, and it makes mincemeat out of all the bosses. So as long as I can keep that boomerang, which means going through the game without dying, I should not have a problem with any of the bosses. So there you go. That's the first level of the game, the village outside of Castlevania. I'll do 1 stage per video. I don't know that I'd be able to squeeze 2 per video. But thank you for watching. I'm Brickroad. I hope you continue going through the playlist as I demolish Castlevania IV. See you next time, guys.